A game that not many people have been talking about, weirdly enough, even though it's quickly approaching, is Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2. The original Hellblade was gorgeous. The binaural audio, I think is how it's pronounced, was super, super cool. It felt like you had voices in your head whenever you were playing the game with headphones on. It was super, super cool. I really liked the original Hellblade. It was short, combat, painfully repetitive, but that ending sequence, no spoilers in case you try it yourself, that ending sequence is one of the most memorable I've had, certainly in any Xbox game probably ever, but also of any like AA budgeted narrative game in a while. Like it was very, very good. And the sequel has been in the works for a long time. People have been waiting for it. We've seen trailers, many of which have not been that, I would say, impressive. Weird trailers that just don't really communicate much. They started really strong. They showed off that huge giant coming out of the ocean. That sequence way back when, I think that was like 2019, 2020, maybe 2020 when they launched the Series X. That was super cool, but beyond that, we really have not gotten much by way of convincing advertising for it. It's just kind of been flying under the radar. And it's releasing in May. And you guys in chat, exactly, forgot about that. I forgot the game was coming out this year. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just weird. It's coming out soon. It's supposed to be the big Xbox game for leading into the summer. And there's just very little hype or interest around it, which is odd. I would have expected more deep dives, maybe an Xbox presentation dedicated to it. Maybe we'll get that in April. That's my hope. But there just really has not been much by way of discussion for it, which is weird, because I would have thought we would have gotten it by now. So all of this to say, Hellblade 2, weirdly quiet, weirdly absent, not many people talking about it. And in fact, one of the things that they just dropped that generated a little bit of attention was this story that broke about the inclusion of a photo mode. I'm one of these gamers where I personally don't find this to be like a selling point. I usually play the game for the game. I understand some people like to go and capture the beautiful photos and, you know, it's basically like second, maybe like third party artwork. So like the artists created the game and then somebody else comes in and can capture these images of the game, and it's like double artwork. It's kind of cool, but it is a gorgeous game. There's some amazing quality and detail present here. It's outrageous. I think this is going to be probably the most graphically impressive game of 2024. Full stop. But I still don't really know what the game is or what it does differently. Like in the last reveal of gameplay that they did at that Xbox event, all they said was we reworked the combat system entirely. And then all the footage they showed was just, it looked like the same combat from before. Like that was the whole thing. That's all there was. So I don't know if it's actually reworked. Maybe this ends up being like a sleeper hit and it's like totally redone and it's amazing. But it seems odd to me that there's been very little discussion about it. And even if there were more discussion, it feels like not many people are that interested or hyped for it. My hope is that in April we get like a full deep dive or something. But at this point, there's really not that much to talk about. And we're like a month and a half away. It's crazy. It's crazy. They also confirmed the game won't have a physical release. Senua's Saga will be a game crafted from the heart, a game similar in length to the first Hellblade with a focus on narrative and sold digital only at $50 or Game Pass. And you can once again expect to join Senua in understanding her world through the perception puzzles led by her experiences of psychosis in brutal and visceral combat and in traversal gameplay, this time across the harsh but beautiful landscapes of 10th century Iceland. Crucially, all these elements are intertwined in a unique visual and audio experience where everything is in service of Senua's story. So you can expect more of the same, but this time with the support to push our ambitions for immersion, fidelity, and richness further than before. Microsoft's head of gaming later claimed getting rid of physical media isn't a strategic goal for Xbox, but said it will follow what players are doing. Right now, a majority of our customers are buying games digitally. Similar in length. I mean, this game came out in 2017. It is now 2024. So they've spent 7 years and they're saying it's similar in length to the first game. So an hour of content for each year they've been working on it. Now, to be clear, not every game is about length. It's not always about length. Sometimes it's about quality. Okay. I've been clinging on to that my whole life. It's not always about length. It's about quality. And I think this could very well still be worth, you know, every penny, every dime, it could be very well worth it. But I have to wonder, like, what have they been doing? Like, the quality is really, really high. It looks really cool, but the gameplay doesn't look changed at all. It looks pretty much copy and pasted from the last game. The length is the same, despite having a bigger budget and the ability to go bigger on scope and stuff. So I'm just like, what have we been doing? What's that time been spent on? And maybe it's that they have some amazing encounters and it's just crazy epic and insane, and it's going to blow us all away when we get our hands on it. That's my hope. But so far, the showings have not been that impressive. And you would think that they would start to show some stuff to really get people excited, but they haven't. Maybe that's what April is for, to be perfectly clear. Maybe that's what April's for, but we shall just see. I mean, if I do Hellblade 2 trailer, it's so dark, you can't really see anything. I appreciate the wide open aperture, but it makes it so the depth of field is so shallow. Most shots really lack clarity and detail, but it's an artistic choice. Maybe it's totally intentional, you know? And then the whole trailer is her like standing at this trippy pond, talking to herself and hearing voices and stuff. And then it moves forward. She sees a reflection, talks to a reflection, extreme close up, graphically very beautiful. That's the whole trailer. They spent 4 minutes on that, and like, this is supposed to sell the game, and I just don't think it does. Squinting the game. That's funny. So I just don't, for one, this as a trailer choice was just a mistake. I mean, I just don't think this is a good trailer. I just don't get it. I just don't know what they were thinking with this. At least like some of these, the original gameplay reveal looked badass. Like, you saw this and you're like, I want to play that. And Stefan, thank you for the super chat. Can it still be justified in this day and age for a linear AAA game or title the length of Half-Life 1 to 2 sell for $60, $70 at full price? I mean, I think people can justify whatever they want. It's about the, like, where you break even though. And I think for most of these big studios, they're spending so much money seemingly to get to a short runtime that they have to perform really, really well. They have to sell a lot of units at a lower price, or they have to sell a pretty good amount of units at a higher price. And so it's just threading the needle and finding where that line is. For Hellblade, it's a Game Pass title, so I think there's less pressure just by the nature of it. I'm still weirded out though that, like, for 120 in 2020, so it's probably more like 150 people now, for 150-ish people to work on this game for 7 years. I mean, that's a game that's probably, you know, over $100 million when all is said and done. $100 million for 7 hours of gameplay. Like, that's a lot, and you need a lot of revenue to come in to justify that. And
Stefan Konstantin Dimitrashe donated Ron 25.
So I don't know if it can work. I don't think it generally will work nowadays. I think if you're going to be under 10 hours, you basically have to release at a discounted price. And even then, a lot of people are just not going to bother. When it's Game Pass, it's slippery though, because it's like, what are you going to do? Helldivers 2 had a smaller team. Yeah, but I mean, this trailer, I still remember seeing this trailer. And now I look at it and I think it looks graphically really good. But I remember thinking it looked really photorealistic. And it looks more photorealistic in style than anything else, but it didn't look very video gamey to me when it first dropped. Now it does. But yeah, I remember when this dropped, I was like, I want to play this. But since it came out, they haven't shown anything this cool since. Like, come on. But this was done Game Awards 2021. That's awesome. But we haven't seen anything else really awesome since then. Like, we see some cool development diaries and stuff. Like, this is one that they dropped where they show how they go about making the game. And like, this is legitimately cool. I appreciate seeing the process of like makeup and hair and how they capture all of this stuff. How they build the costumes out of real materials for the game. Like, this stuff is fascinating. It's fascinating. But at the end of the day, it's a video game, you know, like you got to find a way to sell it to people. I just want to know what's the hook? What's the thing? Like, I just haven't seen it yet. But hopefully April is what's going to do that. And it's going to just dominate and people are going to be super obsessed with it. He took my thing. Red flag.